Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Saturday Spotlight. I'm so glad that you're here. I cannot wait for you to meet the guests that we have. This week, we have the ever magnificent Heather B. How are you, Heather?
I am doing great, Ashley. So happy to be here.
Yes. For those of you that don't know Heather, not only is she a fantastic author of a nonfiction story, but it has hit the top of the charts, and her social media is so positive. It's accumulation of all things wonderful. So your story, Living on the Edge of the Scalpel, right?
Yes.
How did that come to be for you?
Wow. It's been a long story. I was asked by my husband 13 years ago if I would consider writing my story, because he thought that all that I had been through to that point in our marriage, he thought that it would prove to be an inspirational story for others. So he encouraged me to write a story. So I started, like a dutiful wife would. I started to write, and along the way, I kind of got frustrated, imposter syndrome set in, and so I put it aside, writing maybe once a year, a few paragraphs, a few chapters. And last December of 2022, a thought just came to me that, I have never known myself to be a quitter, and it struck me that I needed to just finish what I started. So I got angry, I got mad at the thought that, oh gosh, I have to get back to writing. And I sat down and I wrote the last 5 chapters in the space of about a month. And my husband encouraged me that, I should pursue publishing it. My thought when I was finished writing, or even during the latter part of finishing up my writing, my thought was really just to write the manuscript and probably have a friend of ours from church with a printer to just print and bind 1 copy so I could leave for my son, because he hasn't blessed us with grandchildren yet. So I thought, what, if I'm not on the scene when this grandchild comes around, I'd like him to be able to read something to them and let them know about grandma. So that was my thought. Then hubby decided that I should take it up a notch and actually publish it for other people to read. And I'm like, oh my God, people are going to read my story. They're going to know my life. I'm a very private person, so yeah, that's how it came to be.
I think your notes that you say about, having imposter syndrome and that feeling of like, wait, people are going to read what I wrote? It's a very, I think almost every author can relate to it. But that last one, it's a very vulnerable experience. Especially so because it's a nonfiction story about yourself. But even as a YA fantasy author, it's kind of nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, because in a way you're putting yourself out there to be judged.
Yes.
Yeah, and that can be tough. But knowing how successful the book has been, I think maybe your husband was onto something. 1, starting 13 years ago, but 2, from an outsider's perspective, the reception has been absolutely incredible. Now that you are published and it is out there, what are your feelings on it now?
I'm blown away completely, because I'm disabled at this point. I was a registered nurse, and I have subsequently become disabled due to my pre-existing health condition. And so I'm really not able to go out and pitch the book to bookstores and have them stock my book on their shelves. I'm not able to do book signings. So when I saw that the paperback hit bestseller number 3 at that point, it was like 2 weeks after I published. And I'm like, what the heck? So I had to go on Amazon to really see what exactly does bestseller status mean. And it talked about it actually being correlated with sales. And I'm like, people are buying this? It was just, I don't know, I was overwhelmed. I'm like, seriously. So my paperback has hit the bestseller top 100 3 times. My hardcover hit bestseller top 100 twice. My ebook hit #1 new seller. So once. So it's actually doing surprisingly well, and I'm a Christian, so I tell everybody that God has been doing my marketing, because I cannot explain why this book is being sold. And I saw people on my sales report bought the book in Germany. I'm like, Germany? Why? I'm grateful, but seriously, why?
Well, and to that, it's because your experience is relatable, right? And just because, people may be in different countries doesn't mean that they aren't going through, similar struggles with their health, or, similar experiences with a doctor. It doesn't even have to be the same type of health problems. But, I mean, it can be really frustrating when you're really sick and you need help, but the help is its own set of challenges, right? And that's something that weighs really heavy, whether it's you or someone you love. There's still a lot of strong feelings there, and I think what you have to say is really inspirational, and you're such a beam of light as a person anyway, that, good attracts good to some extent,
Thank you.
So since the release, because it came out, was it the end of 2023 that you published? Is that right?
November 1st, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's been, a couple months now. Obviously, there's been this positive whirlwind. What do you, if you were going to spread a message, because I know that you're very much about spreading positivity and, forming this, bright community around you. If you were to, share one message that the book is carrying, either directly or indirectly, what do you think is the strongest message from your story that you're trying to share?
Hope. That is the message I have desired to share, and I'm hoping that it came across clearly. Being disabled, parking one's professional accomplishments at an early age, a relatively early age, and then living with chronic health issues, it leads one to become depressed, despondent, and I am, among other groups that I'm a part of, I'm an advocate for the U.S. Pain Foundation. And 51 million Americans living with chronic pain annually is a lot. And those people, when you read their stories, you're hearing that they get to a point where they become so depressed and despondent, they're committing suicide. I want to share an opposite thought. Insert an opposite thought in their mind. Yes, life may actually truly suck, but, there is hope. There is hope. Keep holding on until help comes in whatever form. I've told people, they go to the doctors and they don't feel like they're being heard, or, the doctor isn't regarding their complaints or taking it seriously. I tell them, go to 6, 7 consultations until you find the right doctor. There is a doctor out there who is actually compassionate and empathetic and will take your concerns to heart and seek to help you. So yeah, that's the general theme of my book, is to insert hope.
What message, and I think something that we all have, a little bit more of on our day-to-day life, because no matter what your life was hard, whether they're hard for you or someone you're taking care of, if you're a caretaker of a child or a different loved one, I mean, days get hard sometimes.
Yes, they do. They do. I know.
So what comes next for you? Do you are going to write another book? Does your husband have any pearls of wisdom of what and can't completely be discredited? What do you think the next steps for Heather B are?
My next step, I started working on it, is a 7-part children's health series. I mentioned in my book that when I was 9, I was given a book regarding my health condition, and it was very academic in nature. I don't think it was intended for a 9-year-old, because truthfully, it told me I was going to be dead by 20. Why tell a 9-year-old they're going to be dead in, 11 years? So I am tapping into that 9-year-old Heather, and I'm writing books for her. So based on the health issues I currently have. So the more mature Heather is writing books to the younger Heather to let her know what will be coming, and address those issues, and not make it so academic and make her feel that she's going to die in 11 years. How do you plan a life when you know you're going to be dead in 11 years? So yeah, my health books are going to be addressing all the health conditions I was either born with or I have managed to accumulate, because I'm so wonderful. I accumulated diagnoses along the way. So yeah, I have a 7-part children's health series I'm working on.
I love that. And I think, knowing you briefly from different interactions we've had, your perspective for that is absolutely, I mean, just I don't know if you can be right, but like the right one to have. My family has many health issues, and like as a mom, like that's what I would want my kiddo to absorb around them, of being acknowledged, being seen, but still having that sense of hope, because life may be a little bit more challenging with things you acquire along the way. Because you're so great, I think I'm going to steal that next time they're asking me why things are so hard. But sometimes those are the cards that you draw, but you can still live, right? You can still have a life. You can still have that hope, and I absolutely love that. Oh, that's so great. So if people want to follow you to learn more about either Living on the Edge of the Scalpel or see where the new project is, where's the best place to find you and information about you?
The best place to find me would be on social media as Heather B. Books. And my website is heatherbooks.com. So they can find me there. I'm actually available for speaking engagements, because I was a nurse educator. So I'm opening myself up to be as either an inspirational speaker or a nurse speaking in a nurse educator capacity. So I can be found there. I'm also dabbling in editing. I'm providing editorial services. I'm hoping to launch that fully probably by the middle of the year. I have an audiobook of Living on the Edge of a Scalpel. It's coming out in audio by May. So yeah, if anyone needs to find me, trust me, I'm going to be busy. But those are the behind-the-scenes hangout places where I can be found.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your gift with the world. I love that your husband's been motivating you and supporting, these ambitions along the way. And I'm glad that you listened, because I think what you have to share is so powerful and so good that it's a voice worth being heard. And I think it's just really good for the community, no matter what community it is. I think we can all use a bit of inspiration and a bit of strength sometimes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashley, for having me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure, Heather. All right, but that does conclude our time. Thank you so much for all the viewers who have stopped by this week, whether that's the weekly launch or in the future. I'm so glad to have you. I hope that you learned a little bit more about Heather and oh, guys, words, and are as inspired as I am with her journey and her story. I think it's really great. All right, take care, and until next week, bye.
Bye.